Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and we're going to talk about something other than politics. I guess it's kind of political. We're going to talk about the lawfare going on between Nintendo and Pocketpair over Palworld. So Nintendo wants some money. Nintendo is suing Pocketpair. It's not a lot of money, though. It's like $66,000, right? But they also want to apparently end the sale of Palworld. I don't think this is going to get very far. In fact, if the judge sides with Nintendo that Palworld ripped off their patented game mechanic of throwing a ball and catching monsters, right? It's going to set a very dangerous precedent, I think, for game developers going forward, for indie developers going forward, because Nintendo is patenting and trademarking a lot of game mechanics that are universal. I mean, can you imagine if they patented Super Mario Brothers, and if you moved left to right on a 2D plane, collecting metal objects to get through the level, then there would be no Sonic the Hedgehog. There would be so many other games that would not be made. And I think Nintendo is really overreaching in this one, and they're actually abusing patent laws and abusing copyright law. But this is, a Japanese court, so their laws are different than they are here. But I'm telling you why I don't think this is going to go very far, and I think it's because of Sony. Sony is actually teaming up with Pocketpair, and Sony's got very, very deep pockets, and they easily could deal with Nintendo. They've done it before. In fact, Sony infamously knifed Nintendo in the back in the 90s and released the PlayStation, and if Nintendo had it their way, they would not have been allowed to do that. So good luck with it. I don't think it's going to work. We're going to talk about it. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, go out to Clownfish Minus. Check out our Plus Club. We're going to be posting more podcasts over there. And, check us out on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, both Geeky and I post pretty regularly on Twitter now. I'm freaking loving the new version of Twitter. I hated Twitter. Twitter was so depressing. A couple of years ago, Elon bought it. It took a while, but he has completely rehabilitated that platform, and it is fun. It's actually a fun place to be now. And there are still stupid people over there, don't get me wrong, but they don't have the megaphone like they did before. And a lot of them are leaving because they don't have the megaphone like they did before, because now if you say something stupid on X, you actually are getting pushback. You get pushback from people. Before, you weren't allowed to argue with them. Now you can. So fun stuff. Let's talk about this. This comes from Deserto. Nintendo demands big cash payment from Palworld in the lawsuit. It says the Palworld developer Pocketpair has given an update on the ongoing infringement lawsuit it's currently involved in with Pokémon Company and Nintendo. On November 8th, Pocketpair announced that the Pokémon Company and Nintendo are demanding 10 million yen, which is about $66,000, which will be split between both companies, plus late payment damages. Well, how are they going to calculate that? Late payment damages. This comes after the Pokémon Company filed a patent infringement lawsuit against Pocketpair in September of 2024. The suit aims to seek compensation for damages that Pocketpair allegedly caused as a result of their infringement of the Pokemon IP. Now, there are many, many other monster capture games, right? I'm thinking like Cassette Beasts and was it Nextmon? Was that the game that was out a few years ago? I mean, there are several, and Nintendo usually doesn't go after them, right? Unless they really brush up against it. And honestly, Palworld is very different from Pokemon, being open world and being more of a survival crafting game than like an RPG, right? But I think it's the success of Palworld. And I think them teaming up with Sony actually is why they're doing this. I think they're trying to tie up Palworld as long as they can, because they know if Sony blows this IP up, which they're talking they're going to do anime and all kinds of stuff, that is going to be a legitimate competitor to Pokemon someday. And they're trying to kind of nip it in the bud right now, right? With Lawfare. And I don't think it's going to get very far. I'm going to be honest. Again, Sony, if it was just Pocketpair and they were struggling to pay their hosting fees when the game blew up and sold millions and millions of copies, I don't think they're going to get very far. It said this lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages on the ground that Palworld, a game developed by the defendant, infringed multiple patent rights. Nintendo wrote in the original press release. The specifics of what infringement entails have yet to be disclosed, as neither company has revealed the details. Experts believe one of the 3 patents infringed revolves around throwing an item to catch a monster. Well, it's very simple, right? I mean, I said before, all you do, if that's the issue, throwing the spheres, they're not even Pokeballs, they're spheres, McDowell's, not McDonald's, right? If that is actually the issue, then all you got to do is just change the monster capturing part of it to something else, like a ghost trap or whatever. Oh, hey, yeah, could Columbia Pictures, which is owned by Sony now, by the way, curiously enough, could they sue Nintendo for Luigi's Mansion? Oh my God, wouldn't that be interesting? Because there are a lot of, the ghost catching equipment is very reminiscent of Ghostbusters. I think they should just sue Nintendo right back and say, yeah, well, good luck with that. You can't do Luigi's Mansion because, you're using ghost busting equipment and you're using a capture method that, even though it's a vacuum cleaner, it's still very similar to a ghost trap. There you go. Giving their update, Pocketpair explained the plaintiffs' claim that Palworld, released by us on January 19th, infringes upon the following 3 patents held by the plaintiffs and are seeking an injunction against the game and compensation for a portion of the damages incurred. So you're going to have to argue, Nintendo, you're going to have to argue that people chose Palworld over Pokemon. You're going to have to show that there was a direct correlation between sales of Palworld and sales of Pokemon merchandise, that they're taking away your market share. And the truth is, I don't think they were either. The people that bought Palworld either already own like all the Pokemon games anyway, and they're really into the monster catching games, or they don't play Pokemon because they think it's childish and stupid, but they're checking out Palworld because, it's a little more adult. One has nothing to do with the other. So, I mean, that's going to be really, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but in my opinion, you have to prove that you actually incurred damages, financial damages to Nintendo. And Pokemon is, as I believe, still is the case, they are like, Pokemon is the biggest IP, the biggest licensed IP on the planet. It's pretty damn popular. So because Palworld came out, Universal decided to pull the plug on any plans for Pokemon theme park rides. Because Palworld came out, kids stopped buying Pokemon trading cards because Palworld came, just since, January, because Palworld came out, everybody stopped supporting Pokemon, just cold turkey. And they want their money for that. They want their $2. Bullshit. That's not gonna fly. Right. And again, my big concern with this is Nintendo can literally patent anything, any game mechanic, whether they invented it or not, and then use it against indie publishers to try to get them shut down. And I love Nintendo games. I do. But Nintendo as a company, they are the Disney of video games, and they're vicious in the courtroom, and they basically count on their competitors not having the deep pockets to fight them, except when they do, because Sony is teaming up with Pocketpair. So I think Sony would probably, if I had to guess, I think they probably would help them pay the bills, or they would just buy out Pocketpair. I could see them doing that too, and then be like, okay, fine, Nintendo, it's between you and us. Again, it's between you and us. We've got this beef going back decades. Let's fight it out with monsters. They continued, this would be Pocketpair. We will continue to assert our position in this case through future legal proceedings. The developer also noted they will now refrain from responding individually to inquiries regarding the case. Yeah, it's probably not good to blab what's going on to the media because people are going to take it out of context, and it might actually hurt you in the courtroom. I mean, we've been in multiple legal battles over the years. Both before starting this channel, while we've had this channel, and we don't talk about it much because it actually can hurt your case, right? It can. People take things out of context. They said they're going to refrain from responding individually to inquiries regarding the case. If matters arise that require public notice, we will announce them on our website. So here's the full breakdown of Palworld. Here's the timeline. It was pre-released on June 5th, 2021, May 26th, 2023. The developer started revealing tutorials for Palworld, and people started calling it Pokemon with guns. And that, I think, might have gotten them in trouble. And this is the ball catching mechanic. June 8th, 2023, Pocketpair shows off a trailer. Nintendo is the most legally aggressive video game company on the planet. They will sue. Trust me. One YouTube user commented, I really hope they don't win when they sue this game. Another replied, I think that's true. I think everybody knew. I even said that when I first saw the trailer. I'm like, man, I am really into this game. But I'm like, yeah, they're totally going to sue. Palworld launches to massive success. If it wasn't so successful, I don't think Nintendo would be going after them. If it wasn't coming to the PlayStation, I don't think Nintendo would really care as much. But yeah, January, 2.1 million concurrent players on Steam. You know, all these Nintendo stands were sending stuff to Nintendo, and our legal department's looking into it. And, oh, this Pokemon looks like that Pokemon, and maybe they stole assets, game assets. Well, they couldn't get them on that, so now they're going to try to get them on the ball catching mechanic, as I understand it. Yeah, so this is what I think triggered the lawsuit right here. July 10th, Pocketpair announces they've teamed up with Aniplex and Sony to establish Palworld Entertainment, Inc., the aim of this being to turn Palworld into a multimedia property that rivals Pokemon in areas like television and merchandising. So Nintendo was kind of hanging back until this, and then like 2 months later, they file a lawsuit. That's what this is about. I think if they did not see Palworld as being a legit threat, then they wouldn't have filed the lawsuit. They're trying to stop their competition with Lawfare. So this is coming from Push Square. Nintendo and the Pokémon Company want to stop the sale of Palworld. They're going to seek an injunction, which is going to block the sale of it. It's been revealed earlier this year, just days prior to the PS5 release. The Mario Maker filed a patent lawsuit against Pocketpair. Now we have more details. As expected, the Japanese patents the developer is accused of infringing upon revolve around gameplay mechanics, like catching Pokemon in a virtual field. They said, interestingly, as far as we can tell, all 3 patents were registered after the game's original release date. However, they do pertain to a pre-established patent filed in 2021. Nevertheless, both Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are seeking an injunction to stop sales of the game. Good luck. And people said I was full of shit. Sony, of course, will have a vested interest in the outcome as it recently signed a partnership with the developer to establish a separate entity named Palworld Entertainment. Yeah, Sony's totally going to get involved in this. People are like, oh, it has nothing to do with Sony. I'm like, no, they've got millions of dollars on the line. They're absolutely going to get involved in this, because if Palworld gets shut down, taken down, then there go their hopes and dreams of making anime and plushies and card games of their own. It's all gone at that point, and they already have a hate boner for Nintendo. So it's gonna be really interesting. And there's so many like Nintendo fans that are just like, Nintendo's always the good guys. I'm like, yeah, they're always the good guys, and they shut down emulators, even though they're not, we're distributing ROMs, and they go after like the Internet Archive, and they, didn't they show up at some guy's house? They sent somebody at somebody's house. I mean, Nintendo, like I said, I love their games. I love Nintendo games. I think they're probably the single greatest video game company on the planet of all time. But their legal team are a bunch of scumbags, and they overreach. And I'd like to see them kind of smack down. I think Palworld's fun. I think it's fun. I think you let the market decide which game's more popular. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Palworld is going to completely eat Pokemon's lunch. It's definitely a different demographic, and I could see Palworld being like 10% of what Pokemon is. There's room for both, for sure. It's definitely a more adult Pokemon, but who knows? I'm gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later. Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.